The legendary Bermuda Triangle. So many tales surround this mysterious region of the sea that it's often hard to parse out the truth from fiction. Today, we shine the investigative light on just a few facts that you might not have known about the Bermuda Triangle. Before weighing anchor, it's probably for the best that you click that red subscribe button and activate notifications from the hub. Safety first. It's gigantic. Some people just don't quite realize how large the Bermuda Triangle is. Also referred to as the Devil's Triangle or the Hoodoo Sea, this region is roughly defined by an imaginary triangle that connects Miami, Florida to the islands of Bermuda and San Juan, Puerto Rico. With these strict lines, that's an area of about 500,000 square miles. That is gigantic. That's an area almost twice the size of the state of Texas. And if you go with other estimates, ranging all the way up to 1.5 million square miles, the Bermuda Triangle is even larger than the entire landmass of India, the 7th largest country on the planet. With that much sheer size, it's no wonder that so many ships and airplanes have disappeared while traversing these mysterious waters over the centuries. It's also no wonder so many of these vessels have never been recovered or heard from again. Imagine trying to find a single boat or airplane in the entire country of India. But in this case, there's no way to just look for tracks or debris, as the ocean just swallows up pretty much anything that plunges into it. Its borders aren't perfectly defined. With such massive variations in the estimation of its size, there's no wonder why so many people are mystified by the Bermuda Triangle. Most of them probably don't even know where it begins or where it ends. The thing is, almost nobody can actually agree on this fact, as the Bermuda Triangle doesn't really have any specifically defined boundaries. Sure, we have the general 3 points of reference, but people have historically claimed the effects of the legendary triangle to have reached out as far as the mid-Atlantic Ocean. So now the question we have to ask ourselves is, what exactly is going on here? Some believe that the fluidic nature of the mysterious triangle may be in part because of the magnetic disturbances from deep in the Earth. Others believe that the true cause has paranormal or even extraterrestrial roots. Most scientists believe, however, that these shifting borders are more caused by human error than anything else. After all, how can anyone really define something that can't really be measured, can't be seen, and lastly, can't be explained? It's probably best just to stick with the standard lines drawn between the 3 major points and just call it a day. Or better yet, let's just steer clear of this place altogether. We'd prefer to not wind up disappearing into thin air. Magnetic anomalies. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Bermuda Triangle, and one that makes thousands of sailors and pilots awfully neurotic, is that it's reported to be one of only 2 regions on the planet where magnetic north and true north seem to switch places. People have claimed that while in the Bermuda Triangle, their compass actually points to true north rather than the usual standby of magnetic north. Oftentimes, if this startling compass variation or error is not compensated for, ships, planes, and other seaworthy vessels could find themselves veering far off their originally intended course. The truth of this matter, though, is that these magnetic anomalies are incredibly overhyped. The US Navy actually has a webpage refuting these claims. On it says, it has been inaccurately claimed that the Bermuda Triangle is one of 2 places on Earth at which a magnetic compass points towards the true north. Normally, a compass will point towards magnetic north. The difference between the two is known as compass variation. Although in the past, this compass variation did affect the Bermuda Triangle region due to fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field. This has apparently not been the case since the 19th century. So, if not magnets, what else could it be? Powerful currents. The Bermuda Triangle finds its home in one of the warmest, climatically active regions on the planet. Because of this, it's also home to some of the largest weather systems the Earth has to offer. The major current that dictates the motion of this region's waters is known as the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream is an extremely swift and turbulent blast of warm water and air that has been reported to flow faster than 5 knots in some areas, which is incredibly powerful. This current begins as a river of seawater, known as the Atlantic North Equatorial Current, which flows westward off the coast of South Africa. When this current runs into the northeastern coast of South America, it breaks into 2 branches, one that crosses over the Caribbean Sea, and a second that flows north and east of the West Indies. They can be powerful enough to blast any poorly prepared sailors several hundred miles off course. This is especially true if they were new to the area, like the earliest explorers that started the legends of the mystical region. The Gulf Stream can also quickly wipe out any evidence of a disaster or wreckage by sweeping it all so far out into the Atlantic Ocean that no one would ever hope to recover it. Deep, deep depths. One of the key defining characteristics of the Bermuda Triangle is the fact that so many vessels have mysteriously vanished over these waters for as long as humans have traversed them. A startlingly small amount of rescue or salvage efforts have actually come up successful over the years, with some, like the famed US Flight 19, even vanishing into the depths themselves. What could be the cause of these disappearances? Surely with so many boats and planes crashing into these waters, the seafloor would be riddled with debris. Well, it probably is. The only problem is that the seafloor in some parts of the Bermuda Triangle can host some of the deepest ocean trenches known to man. Most of the seafloor in the Bermuda Triangle is about 19,000 feet below the surface. Near its southern tip, the Puerto Rico Trench can even plunge as much as 27,500 feet into the murky depths. That is just 1,500 feet less than the peak of Mount Everest. Just for reference, the wreck of the Titanic is only 12,500 feet underwater, and it took countless teams working tirelessly over 60 years to finally discover that gigantic wreck, whose final whereabouts were commonly known. Treacherous coral reefs. The Caribbean Sea is home to some of the most diverse and massive coral reefs on the planet. In fact, a large portion of many of the islands themselves are actually massive slabs of ancient coral that have been heaved up over the millennia by slow-moving geological processes. These ancient coral systems can be found in caves and crevices all throughout the Caribbean. It's no wonder then that the waters themselves could be teeming with treacherous shoals and reefs all along the continental shelf. The powerful currents over these reefs constantly breed all sorts of new navigational hazards, according to the Coast Guard. These shoals are responsible for dozens upon dozens of the accidents that have occurred in the Bermuda Triangle over the centuries. Some of these wrecks are even accessible via tours, where you can witness the destructive power of the ocean firsthand. One of these wrecks, the Constellation, can be found just north of Bermuda. In July 1943, while carrying general cargo including 700 cases of Scotch whiskey, the Constellation's steam pumping gear broke down, forcing her to take in water amidst the worsening weather. The powerful gusts dashed the ships against the shallow coral, where her broken hull plays host to multitudes of creatures to this day. Methane hydrates. Known as methane clathrates on dry land, underwater methane hydrates are incredibly fascinating structures. It is currently unknown just how many of these things exist around the world, or the extent of their sizes. Methane hydrate deposits form when methane gas becomes trapped in a natural lattice structure of crystallized water that is very similar to, but not exactly the same as ice. These lattices can be found all across the globe, just beneath the seafloor in a wide variety of depths. Since they are filled with volatile methane gas, these hydrates tend to possess colossal potential energy. If one of them bursts, the eruption is similar to an underwater depth charge and can even be powerful enough to cause oil well blowouts. In fact, the Deepwater Horizon incident of 2010 was caused by one of these explosions. Considering the depths and varying underwater topography of this region, it's not a huge leap of faith to imagine one of these methane gas bursts enveloping a passing ship or even a plane. The heavy concentration of methane gas in the water would severely diminish the density of the surrounding water, causing ships to sink like rocks. In a case like this, nobody on board would have time to call for help or even abandon ship. This might explain some of the abrupt disappearances that have occurred over the years. Positive gravitational mascons. Short for a mass concentration of gravity, gravitational mascons had been theorized as early as the mid-20th century, but was only considered to be possible in massive stellar bodies like gas giants or stars. Since then, we have learned that there are positive and negative mascons located in every single object in the universe. While we still aren't 100% sure what causes them, some of the most curious and powerful concentrations can be found right here on our very own moon. These gravitational mascons are even found all across our own planet, with some very peculiar concentrations located in the Bermuda Triangle. It is theorized that alongside the powerful ocean currents, these pockets of gravitational distortions might be capable of sucking boats downwards below the surface. These phenomena might be even more effective on aerial vehicles, as air is so much less dense than water. Airplanes rely very heavily on specific principles of buoyancy and lift in order to stay airborne, and even the slightest variation in gravity or air density could send one spiraling into a tailspin. Atlantis? Okay, so this one might be a little far-fetched, but there are many people who actually believe the theory that all of the strange occurrences of the Bermuda Triangle might actually be linked to the famed lost city of Atlantis. First referenced by Plato in his works, Atlantis originally stood as an allegory for the hubris of powerful nations. After failing to conquer Athens, Atlantis eventually fell out of favor with the gods and was plunged beneath the waves of the Atlantic Ocean. There are numerous other legends in countless cultures throughout history of a city or nation that was swept under the ocean. One of the key driving forces behind the Atlantis-Bermuda Triangle theory comes from the work of a famous self-proclaimed American clairvoyant, Edgar Cayce. According to Cayce, Atlantis was a real city stretching all the way from the Gulf of Mexico to Gibraltar and was destroyed around 10,000 BCE. Curiously, Cayce predicted that portions of Atlantis would begin to rise in 1968, and luckily enough, divers in search of Spanish gold discovered what is now known as the Bimini Road, just off the coast of Bimini Island. This rock formation looks incredibly like a stone road or path and stretches a great distance, causing some to believe that it has to be man-made, while others attribute perfectly normal geological processes. Nothing at all. Perhaps the most mind-blowing, unbelievable truth about the Bermuda Triangle is that it's not very peculiar at all. That's right, considering the sheer volume of commercial, private, and all other kinds of vehicle traffic moving through this region, the Bermuda Triangle isn't statistically any more dangerous than any other waterway in the world. The US Navy and Coast Guard have repeatedly contended that the disasters in this region all have purely scientific reasons. When you really think about it, the combined forces of nature and good old human error are capable of explaining away even the most mind-boggling sci-fi explanations. On top of all that, the US Board of Geographic Names doesn't even recognize the Bermuda Triangle as an official name and does not maintain official files concerning the area. Of course, there will always be people claiming government conspiracy, but at the end of the day, the Bermuda Triangle is really just a fascinating and sometimes dangerous trade route, filled with a rich history of fantastic tales. So what do you think? Is the Bermuda Triangle hiding something, or can it all be explained with common sense and the scientific method? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to The Hub for all of our latest, greatest videos. Bye-bye!